Welcome to Post Game Podcast. I'm your host, June. I got my boy B Foster with me. Before we do anything, I want to tell everyone and ask everyone to please subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube and any of your podcast aggregators. Follow us at Post Game Podcast. You go on platforms like Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts. Just type in Post Game Podcast FFSN in your search. You will see a piston colored logo on top of a basketball court. It looks like a basketball key if you look closely. And just make sure you hit that notification and follow us so whenever we drop, you will see get what we have to put out. Basketball season is approaching. I think the first I don't know if it's a preseason game, but I saw a game on the schedule for October 6th. Foster, you know anything about that? Or is that a preseason game or is that
That might be a preseason game. I know the preseason games they have at a variety of different locations. Like I think there's a game at the Breslin. Uh,
oh wow.
yeah, so yeah, it's a little different than you know they do them all over the place. Like there's a
Yeah,
game, yeah, they have them at variety, but it's probably a preseason game.
I
To
can
answer.
imagine. So, but anyway, it's September 13th, Friday the 13th, man.
Oh yeah, it
It
is.
is, it is, it is. And basketball is a month or two out. Yeah, I want to say no, I want to say a month. It's not a month or two, it's about a month away.
October,
Uh,
man.
So we're going to talk Pistons basketball today, as we usually do on this podcast. I don't want you to get it confused with Bleachers and Speakers, where we talk about the football, Detroit Lions, but this is a Detroit Pistons podcast. And Foster, I was trying to come up with something today because we needed to do a show. We haven't done a Pistons show in a minute, and the season is approaching. And I thought it would be a great idea. We had a lot of acquisitions as far as the Pistons. Like this, the team has had a bit of a makeover. Um, I think there's some core people here, but there's a lot of people that started the season that's not no longer here. So me and Foster had this ongoing conversation about uh, particularly the number 4 position. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about my projected starting five and Foster projected starting five. Now I'm gonna give you a disclaimer. I think I know what the starting five, and it's probably evident, but to be devil's advocate, I'm gonna do some. I know I'm gonna do something totally different than what you would all expect as far as starting five. So, you got anything you want to add before we continue, Foster?
Yeah, I'm excited because I genuinely don't know what you're going to like. I don't even have a really good guess, but I really feel like it's going to be different. They are going to be two. I won't say totally different, but I think they will genuinely be different lineups, and we'll be able to give our own perspectives of why. Because I think that we both have good explanations of why we personally like what we like, but I think they will be different, and I like that. That's good.
Just another disclaimer. I intended for this one to be different. However, there's an explanation for why this could possibly be a lineup. So it's not anything that I just made up or this, but it's this could very well happen. So I think everybody's starting five in everybody's mind will be very close to what one of us has to say. But I think mine is gonna be different from everybody else's, but I think I can pretty much rest assured that Foster's will be very common among people that's out there listening. So, if you wanna get started, Foster, we you can tell me your starting 5, um, and I added a little twist to it that you didn't know about it. You can give me your, 6 man off of that starting 5. That shouldn't be too hard.
First man off the bench. Okay.
First
Oh
man off
yeah.
the bench.
Okay.
That's not I didn't wanna I was gonna say the next 3 off the bench, because back in the day when Pistons played, you had Rodman, Sally, and Vinny Johnson coming off the bench. Those were your top three, even though Vinny Johnson was the sixth man, but those were the three. They called them the spark plugs back in the day. So, but I'm not gonna throw a curveball completely, Foster. You just stick with the sixth man. And uh, I don't know if you want to do an explanation behind your sixth man, but
Uh,
I'm sure you
yeah.
know. I'm pretty sure you know.
Well, I was gonna ask. So, do you want the full explanation, person by person, or do you want that all at the end?
Okay. You can say your starting five and you can say why. Let's just keep it simple. And
Starting
then if I
five,
got
and then what?
yeah, and then I'll give my start. Well, we'll talk about your starting five first. We'll get there.
Okay. So, starting at point guard, Cade Cunningham. At
Okay.
the at the two, Asar Thompson. At the three,
Wait, whoa, 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 whoa. Who'd you say?
Asar Thompson.
Your starting five is Cade and Osar. That's totally different than what I would think you would say.
I know.
That's you threw a curveball. Go ahead. I
Yeah.
like it though.
At the three, Simone Fontecchio. At the
Okay.
four, Tobias Harris.
Okay.
And at the five, Jalen Duren.
Yeah. Um, we got a lot to, to talk about
Let's
uh
talk.
with this too. Oh, six man. Who's your six man?
Oh, six man, Jaden Ivey.
Okay. Okay. So we got a lot to I didn't think we'd have much to say, but I got a couple questions.
I knew it. I knew it. But go ahead. You want your questions or the explanation? Or I guess
Well,
I'll explain within your questions, maybe.
let's just go ahead and you can explain. And then if I have a question, I'll ask.
Okay. So the center and point guard position is pretty much the ones that no matter how you slice it, the likelihood is that those are the constant ones. Cade Cunningham is the primary point guard. He's the creator. He's the guy that's running the offense. He has, as far as creating open shots, he's in the 98th percentile of the entire NBA. He's the rookie max contract guy. He's going to be our leading scorer, and with the amount of spacing on the court now, he'll have a lot more freedom and ability to move around now that they won't be clogged in the middle with the lack of shooters. He was playing with Killian Hayes starting last year. So that's one guy that's definitely not spacing the floor. So that's the point guard. At the two, I have Asar Thompson. Now your average prototypical shooting guard is obviously a guy that can shoot, but this is positionless basketball. So
It is
your center
not
can shoot
it's
sometimes.
not
So
like it used to be. So there's no written ironclad on who needs to what your shooting guard needs to do and what your power forward needs to do. So I get it.
right. So Asar Thompson is a guy that is going to, first of all, if there's anything that we lack in the starting lineup, it's perimeter athleticism, perimeter defense, and what's going to be nice about Asar Thompson is he doesn't have to be designated to sitting in the corner and trying to, waiting for his opportunity to create. The spacing on the floor is going to allow for him to be able to, cut to the basket. It's going to allow for him to get offensive rebounds. It's going to allow for him to be a lob threat as well. So you're gonna have to have a guy out there that can guard the best man on the court. You don't want to leave that up to Cade Cunningham, and you want a guy that's going to be able to protect the rim. Asar Thompson is a guy that can not only get in the passing lanes, but he can defend on the perimeter and he can protect the rim a little bit. Obviously, not to the level of like a top notch guy, but
Mhm.
that's the theory on Asar Thompson. As far as the three, you got the high volume 3-point shooter, a guy that's going to open things up for us. He's a guy that he spotting up is his strength, but he's not a guy that's glued to the floor. He can create for himself a little bit more than what we may have anticipated going in. But I think that when Simone Fontecchio in the small 16 game sample size, I think that was the most functional that our offense was, and I think that him and Cade developed um, a chemistry early on just provided more room for him to work because you had to worry about Fontecchio in the corner. He shot 43% from the outside. So I think that he is going to be a major key. Because we just lacked consistent outside shooting a lot. Um, as far as the four, Tobias Harris, he is a guy that he's a glue guy. He's a guy that has versatility. He can create his own shot. He can spot up and shoot. He doesn't take a large volume of shots from three, but he has the capability and has the threat to knock down that shot. And he can hit the mid range as well. So he can provide some space for Duran as well, who is pretty much a rim runner, a guy that's going to put pressure on the rim, and he's a lob threat. So I think that Tobias Harris, where he lacks in his rim protection because he is only 6'7" and he's not a guy that's going to block a bunch of shots, he is versatile. He can guard a couple different positions, whether it's a power forward position, he can guard the three. He's pretty versatile at that position. Like I said, Jalen Duran at the five, another guy that pretty much we know he's going to be the starting center.
He's your starter.
Yeah, he's a starting center. I really hope that because he's not a guy that can guard guys out on the perimeter. He's pretty much designated to that paint drop rim protector position. I just hope that he can stay out of foul trouble. I think that's one thing that affected him a lot last year, is the fact that he was committing a lot of fouls. And I think that I just hope that I think that he'll continue to be a dynamic rebounder, and he is going to be a good pick and roll threat down low. So I think that I hope that he can continue to grow upon that and just be more comfortable in that drop big role.
Okay. Now, when you thought of this lineup, Foster, and this is just for audience sake, is this a lineup who you think of wishful thinking, or you think this is what it's going to be?
This is the lineup that I think gives us our most optimal opportunity to be successful. As far as what they'll go with,
who knows what they're going to go with? I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, in your mind state is, because a lot of, like, with a lineup, you might say this is who I wish, or this is what I think is going to be. And
I would say wish.
Okay.
The thing could be it could be close. The thinking could be close, but I feel like we have so many. It's going to go back. It's going to go down. It's going to come down to JB Bickerstaff's philosophy, because I don't necessarily know what his
That plays a
philosophy is.
very, very good.
Yes. I think that's going to be a key, because there's a lot of and I don't want to steal your thunder with what your idea is, but there's a lot of different combinations
Yes,
based
there.
upon
Yes.
based upon what and it also has to do with how they work together. I haven't seen them play with each other outside of the summer league, so how they perform in practice is going to have a lot to do with what JB Bickerstaff is comfortable with.
I got you. So before I jump into my lineup, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back. If you're watching, we'll be back in about 6 seconds. If you're listening, be prepared for some wonderful, wonderful ads. We do have bills to pay, so it is what it is. Okay, so here goes it, right? So I have two, right? And this is the lineup that I think is going out there. There's one that I hope for, and there's one that I think is going to go out there. And this is pretty simple. You got Jalen at the 5. You got Tobias Harris at the 4. At the 3, you got Fontecchio. At the 2, Ivy. At the 1, Cade. and the 1 and 2 are interchangeable as far as who's going to bring the ball up, who starts the offense, those two. But that's your court, Cade and Ivy. That's what I think is going to happen.
Okay.
Now, my desired lineup, and this is where it gets different, is where you have Duren at the 5, Reed at the 4, Harris at the 3, Cade at 1, and Ivy at 2. So
wait, okay, what was your 3 again? Oh,
Tobias
okay.
Harris.
Right, and then Reed at 4. Okay.
Yeah. That's what I'm and the reason why I hope it's that means Terrence Reed got in here and got the ball in. If he makes you start him at 4, and Foster knows, you might not know, but Foster knows how I've been raving about Reed. So I figure the best case scenario is that he's balling out and he's taking that 4 position to where it's like, okay. And the 6-man, Fontecchio, that's the first person off the bench for me. The other lineup, the one I desire is Fontecchio coming off the bench. The other one would be it would be Fontecchio, both 6-men for both lineups. Fontecchio. I think he's the first one off the bench.
So you like
But
the idea of Reed and Durant playing together?
and I'm gonna explain that.
Okay.
Usually when you have like 2 bigger guys, the first thing you think is clogging up the lane, this, that, and other.
Mhm.
And I think Reed is a good high-low guy where you can run a high-low with your power forward at the top of the key or at the free throw line. He's a decent mid-range shooter. This is just wishful thinking. I don't think this is what it's going to be. And the reason why, again, if Reed goes in here and shows out, you're going to have to give him that starting 4. You're going to have to, because you're not going to put him at 5 and bench Duren. You're going to have that 4 and 5 there. Now, do I think that's going to happen? No. I think your 4 will be Tobias Harris. And I do think your 3 is going to be this the starting lineup. Who I think is going to happen will be Duren, Tobias Harris. Who did I say at 3?
Is it your desire?
No,
Oh,
the one I think that's going to be out there.
I think you had Fontecchio at the 3, right?
Fontecchio, I think. Is it Fontecchio?
I think so.
Say
I think because you
Fontecchio.
had Ivy at the 2, you had Fontecchio at the
Yeah,
3, Harris at 4, and
yeah, yeah.
Durant.
And with someone like Malik coming off the bench as your 6, because Fontecchio is definitely it's going to be your starter. In the one that I think, if Fontecchio is a starter, I think Malik is the first person off the bench, or Reed, one of those 2. I'm not sure, but yeah, that's it. I honestly think, I guess it's a desired thinking for me for Reed to be that unsung person, because I think he has a lot to prove, and I think that power forward position is one up for grabs. I do like Tobias Harris. Don't get me wrong, but uh, a younger, bigger power forward is more to my liking. So, um, go ahead, Foster.
What I was going to say is that first of all, I want to put you onto a website called Crafted NBA. It's got
Okay.
all the and this for anybody that's listening. It has advanced stat analytics that really does a good job of putting into perspective the players beyond just the watching the game, and it explains a lot, and it often fits a lot of the narratives that we come to as analysts or supporters or whatever. And the most exciting thing about Paul Reed is his defense. He's in the 96th percentile as far as deflections. I'm assuming at his position. They go by position.
Have to be.
Deflections per 36 minutes. Creation it's called regularized adjusted defensive turnover. So it's got to be creation of turnover, which makes sense if you deflect a lot of passes. His rim frequency, which is the amount of shots that you are able to contest at the rim, he's in the 95 percentile. And block percentage, which is the amount of blocks per attempt. This is the percentage of opponent shot attempts that a player blocks. 94%.
I like to know that stat line for Duren.
Oh my God. I'm gonna pull it up.
I like to know that because
it's good, bro. I had to test the theory in that way to be like, okay, if it don't look a certain kind of way, I can't even support the site, right?
Right.
So Duren, defensively, deflections 21 percentile. He's not stealing the ball. Now turnovers 72 percentile. Because for whatever reason, they're all formulas, which some of them explain the formulas and some don't.
Okay.
Rim defense 54 percentile, which is the field goal percentage. Is the field goal percentage within 6 feet versus the same opponent shooting within, I guess, in comparison to everybody else, their field goal percentage at the rim, 54 percentile. Rim frequency, so the amount of balls that he's able to contest, 56 percentile, which is, block percentage is 73%. So when he does attempt, he gets to 70, he's in the 73 percentile as far as that. Versatility 2 percentile as far as, and that just means that, who can you guard? I think part of it is who you can guard. Like, can he guard a point guard? Obviously not. Can he guard a 2? Obviously not. He's only effective in guarding guys that are probably back to the basket, and the lower tier level of back to the basket as well. 2 percentile is bad.
Now, Foster, me and you have gone over this a million times about Jalen Duren's defense in the paint. And this is another reason why I think Terrence Reed needs to be out there.
Paul Reed.
I'm sorry, Paul Reed.
I had to look it up because I couldn't remember his name.
Reed needs to be out there more. But at the same time, let's not get it confused. Just because you start, don't start doesn't mean you're not going to play a lot. So
yeah, for sure.
You can't play 48 minutes a game. You're just not going to do that. And you'll have your opportunities to play whether you start or not. Rim protection is one of the things that we lacked last year.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about that. And I also want to talk about turnovers. You know how I feel about turnovers, Foster. There were times where I'm watching the game and I'm like, there's 1 turnover. It's 2 turnovers. It's 3 turnovers. That's 4 turnovers. And this is happening within a quarter where I'm constantly counting them. And there was a time where they had like 18 turnovers one game. And they said, they did much better taking care of the ball. They only had 18 turnovers. Really? Like, that's not good. Now, I'm hoping, because I said a lot of that reflects on the coach. But today's NBA, a lot of the teams turn the ball over a lot. A lot of them. It's not just the Pistons. There's a lot of sloppy play going on. And I can remember watching the last Golden State team that won the championship. They turned the ball over a lot. If you don't believe me, look it up. I watched them throughout. If they didn't turn the ball over a lot in the regular season, because I didn't watch a lot of the regular season, they turned that mug over a lot in the playoffs for sure. They turned the ball over. But the thing is, they were so efficient when they shot the ball, and they were so good at scoring when they did get a chance to put a shot up. it kind of made up for it. They turned the ball over at a high clip. Now, I'm not saying it was high as the Pistons was last year, but today's NBA, they turn the ball over a lot. If you look, there's not a lot of pure point guards in the league. A lot of them have combo guards. Where back in the day, you had a bona fide point guard that ran your offense. Stuff started to change when you had the triangle offense. Uh, Mainly, well, let's talk about the Bulls and Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was not a pure point guard. He wasn't. Um, there was not, and B.J. Armstrong was your other guard. See, he was, it was like they're not pure point guard. Now, B.J. Armstrong was a pure point guard in high school, but the triangle offense wasn't designed around having a dominant point guard that ran the offense. If you want to, if you want to test that theory, let's look at the Lakers with Kobe under Phil Jackson. They ran the triangle. Ron Harper was your point guard. He's
Right.
not your typical point guard. He's
Right.
not Jason Kidd. He's not Damon Stoudemire. He's those type of point guards. Isaiah Thomas, not the new Isaiah Thomas. I'm talking about the old school Zeke Pistons. Those are your typical point guards. You
Now,
didn't
do you think that the triangle was designed or because of the personnel and the fact that you had a Kobe and a Jordan and didn't have strong point guards? I think Ron Harper played uh, triangle with the Lakers too,
Yeah, that's what I'm
even.
talking about.
But do
Yeah.
you think it was? Well, he played for the
I I
Bulls.
I think if you had a point guard, you could still do it. It's
He could
just
have
not
made
a
it.
necessity in that offense.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's predicated on having a point guard. It's just like when you run that offense, you need motion. That's
Right.
pretty much motion. It's a lot of cutting. It's the person setting, knowing where to be to start the offense.
Right.
Because basically the guard brings the ball up, passes to somebody, and then they cut. And then you have someone coming off a curl. And then you have your big man in the post. And what's different about the triangle at the Lakers, you had Shaq. They didn't have a dominant point guard in Chicago. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it made it kind of more dynamic when you have Shaq and Kobe running that kind of offense because they were in their heyday, they were virtually unstoppable. Like when they were at their best, you couldn't. The Lakers was just they were something of a thing of beauty under Phil Jackson and Shaq and Kobe. So, but turnovers is a thing in the league, and I'm thinking, and me personally, I point a lot of I know the coaches and out there, but I think I'm an old school guy. And if you turn the ball over, when I played, you sat the bench. Now you can't do that nowadays because people request a trade. If you yell at a player too much, they request a trade. You'll be talking to their agent if you bench somebody nowadays. So I know you can't do that no more. But I also think that if you're going to be a coach that preaches taking care of the basketball and practices in that manner, I don't think you turn it over as much. I think there's a lot more care predicated to taking care of the basketball. There's a lot more detail towards that, and then it becomes habit to where you feel bad if you turn the ball over, so you're careful with it. There was a lot of unnecessary turnovers when it comes to the Pistons. I don't mean a charge. I don't mean any kind of violation. I mean just simply throwing the ball to the wrong person. Bad passes, throwing the ball out of bounds, bad passes. Just I've seen where Cade comes past half court and just literally throw it to the wrong person, or it doesn't, or throw it in the vicinity of a person, not to point Cade out because he's the team, and I have no quarrels with Cade. I'm just giving an example. But you'll see a very, very bad pass that'll go to the other side. And then when you have these turnovers, it creates transition for the other team. They don't even have to run time off the clock. They're getting the ball and they're running. And most of the time when you get a transition, you get a layup. Your percentage goes up. And if you're not creating those turnovers, those same turnovers, which we weren't, you're not going to have a chance. You get your 14 to 60, 68s.
Yeah, and I do think that the turnovers are going to be. I think that is not going to be as much of an issue this year because I do think that a good part of it has to do with two major things. It's actual offensive philosophy as well as personnel. I think that the personnel that we have not in now is a lot more beneficial in the fact that there is going to be more spacing, and we have a coach in here that has excelled in developing young star guards. I think there's going to be a lot more balance. There's going to be a good, nice mix of guys that attack the basket, guys that space on the outside, as well as mid range, mid range as well. You got guys like I don't know Beasley so much, but I feel like Hardaway. I mean, you're gonna have some. We got volume shooters. We got guys that can shoot in high frequencies, but also efficiently at that position. Tim Hardaway here and there, but yeah, I just think that there's going to be a good balance of perimeter, uh, interior as well as in the fringe portions as well, like a Tobias Harris. I think that Tobias Harris has made his bones off of um, scoring in that in between area as well. So we will obviously see we'll obviously see how things go, but we have a good mix of young guys and veteran guys as well. So there should be a set precedent as far as what it takes to win and taking care of the ball. If you're not taking care of the ball, you're giving away way too many possessions, not only from your offense, but also lending a helping hand to your opponent to get a lot of favorable, you know, shorthanded, situations for your defense where you got 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s, and stuff like that.
My old my old boys club basketball coach used to tell us a turnover is an assist to the other team.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
let's take another quick break, Foster. We're going by. It's 33 minutes
33
already.
minutes already.
Yeah, time flies. We haven't had a Piston show in so long. It's just crazy, but we love talking Pistons. So if you're listening, you'll hear some more ads. If you're watching, we'll be back in like 6 seconds. You brought up a point, and I got a question for you, Foster. Spacing. You talked about spacing. Um, as opposed to last year, how do you think we looking as far as shooting? Because I think shooting was very streaky at best last year. Do you think we're in a better position to have better shooting this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Simone Fontecchio, I think that he was instrumental in the short time that he did get a chance to play before he went down with injury. I think he was a very viable threat to the defense to where they could not leave and ascend and assist in clogging the lane for a guy like Cade Cunningham. And so we got a guy like him. We got Malik Beasley, who's been a premier spot up shooter since he's been in the league. Tim Hardaway has definitely had his runs. He's a guy that when he's on, now he's streaky and he doesn't have it every day, but he's a guy that can drop 8 threes in a game if he's given the right opportunities. And Kate Cunningham averaged I think 7 point something assists per game, and he, like I said, was playing next to Killian Hayes for a lot of his days.
Mm.
His assist numbers are just going to naturally go up because he creates more open shots for shooters or lack thereof than nearly anybody in the league. You got to remember that he started the year. I think the opening lineup had Frank Jackson. And when he started, when he was a rookie, we had guys like
Mm.
Frank Jackson who never sniffed the league again after he left Detroit, and the likes of Killian Hayes And if you don't think that, even if it's not, even if it's a Malik Beasley starting in the opening lineup, which it very well could be,
Could be.
that's a guy that is in the upper percentile as far as open shot opportunities. So yeah, I
He
think that we're
started he started quite a few games for Milwaukee when Dame didn't play. When Dame was out. So yeah.
he started a lot of games when Dame did play, honestly. But
Wow.
yes,
Okay.
but yeah,
That's
yeah. I think he started like 68, 68 out
did
of
he?
the.
Yeah.
I'd have to look it up. I'm gonna have to look it up. I want to be.
I mean, we just know that he can. He's capable of starting.
Yeah, and that's an elite team. That's not just a any old team. We're talking about a top notch um, title contender type team, and he started for them. And I always forget that he's only 27 years old. Like he's been in the league for a long time, but I think he only played at Florida State for 1 year.
Oh, okay.
Like, he's been in the league since 2016, but he's only 27 years old. And last year he started 77 games and played 79 overall. So he started the whole year.
Yeah.
Because Dame is a point guard. They actually don't play the same position. So yeah. I love the durability though. 79 games. Oh my God. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah, for sure.
I also like the fact that he's taken a lot of the young guys under his wing. If you pay attention to social media, they were all out on the West Coast post summer league, and he was out there. He was out there with the young guys like the Clintman and
Mm.
and what is his name? We haven't even talked about the rookie, Ron Holland, and
I forgot his
um, yeah, bro. I really had to think hard about it, and that's our starting. I mean, that is our lottery pick. But yeah, he was out there with a lot of the young guys. And it's just cool that he's talked about growing because he was born in Atlanta, but I think he was sent up to Detroit a lot because he has family up here, maybe, and
Okay.
he wants to. He grew up as a young guy in that era of when the Pistons were good, and
Okay.
he wants to be part of the resurgence and bringing that back. So definitely have some purpose. He'll be playing with some purpose this year. Not to mention that he's on a 1 year prove it deal, so he's trying to get paid.
Well, I'm gonna say JB uh, has his work cut out for him. I mean, compared to the elite teams in the NBA, our roster doesn't compare to those. However, we don't look like bottom of the barrel. I like the roster. I think we're like a superstar away from being a contender. But that's just goes to say if Cade can be that superstar, I think it could carry over to us at least a play in this season. Now I know that's a feat considering 14-68 last year, new coach, a revamped roster. But hey, a person can dream. So I think the shooting would be better. I do. I think the shooting would have been better last year if we had more opportunities. Uh, Case in point with the turnovers. I think uh, we didn't get we threw the ball away at pivotal times. So those and then like creating turnover. We didn't create a lot of turnovers at times. So I think if we can create some turnovers and not turn over ball so much, we'll have a better fighting chance and better shooting percentage. Also, shooters get more confident when they get layups. If you can get more uncontested layups and just closer shots, that bucket gets a lot bigger when you're shooting from the outside. So if you can start off scoring like from the inside, it just does so much for your confidence. You're able to square up and shoot with confidence, and that helps your shot. Believe it or not, mentally, it's a thing.
Seeing it go through, yeah. But when you mentioned creating turnovers, that's one of the things that we may continue to have an issue with. That's why I think it's important that Asar Thompson is in the
Oh
starting
yeah,
lineup.
he's our best defender.
Yes, because I think that they did address outside shooting and scoring, but a lot of the guys that I think that we are aiming to assist with the defense and creating turnovers are buried in our rotation, and there are rookies: Clinton, Holland, um,
And I'm glad you mentioned that because my thing is,
even Reed, possibly.
yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because if this Pistons team is good, if they're at least decent, you probably won't see a lot of your lottery pick. You probably won't see a lot of Clement, and that's a good thing. You let those guys develop. You know, these are still young guys at the end of the day, and if they don't have to play in pressure situations right off the bat, and that means your other guys are playing. You it's we all scoffed at the draft. We all scoffed at it. We knew it wasn't the best draft. We knew it didn't have the best prospect as compared to drafts of the past. However, when you get someone like a Ron Holland and a Clinton, and you don't have to rush them in to get major minutes, they'll get a chance to adjust and develop and get hungry. You know what I'm saying? You want that hunger. You know what I'm saying? You want to be able to prove yourself and have the confidence to prove yourself. Because we know, in my opinion, Holland is Alsar Thompson Jr. for now.
Yeah, yeah.
And another thing is with Thompson, as far as being your starter, I hope he just over the spring got cleared to over the summer got cleared to back to physical activity. So hopefully he's had a chance to work on his shot and be more confident. I think he has that dog mentality. He has that mentality to be a good player, and that kind of mentality is infectious in the locker room. And when you start believing in yourself and saying, "I ain't taking, I ain't going," it does a lot for your locker room, and it does a lot on the court. So um, it's going to be an interesting season, Foster. Do you have any predictions as far as a record?
Oh God.
Put you on the spot there.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. That
And
that
and keep in mind, I remember what you said last show. It's been a while since we had a show, but I
right,
remember.
because honestly, I don't remember what I said last time,
Oh, I
but
knew it. I remember.
um
Um,
jeez.
Okay, I'll give you a hint.
Well, I actually I don't even wanna necessarily aim for what I thought I
Okay,
was.
what do you think now? Because feelings change. What do you think? Remember
33.
rap? Because I was going to bring up rapper cap.
Right, right. 30. I want to say 35 is on the high end, and I really feel like 30 is kind of shooting short. So I want to say 33, and whatever the math is on that. What is that? What is that? 59? Ugh. Yeah, 59.
Out of 82 games, so it'd
It's
be 49,
40.
33, 40.
49. 49.
Yeah,
33 and 49. That don't sound too bad.
I'm gonna go out on a limb, Foster. I'm gonna say we win 40 games.
So about 500.
It'd be 40 and 42.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Under
A
500,
little,
but
under five, a little under.
close. That's real close to 500.
And that's a hell of a step up from last year.
Yeah, that's the scary. That's the tough thing is that it's really hard to add 20 wins to your because how many wins is that adding?
26.
That's a lot of wins. That's a
We,
lot of wins,
we
bro.
lost more games in a row than that.
Right.
We lost 28 in a row at one point.
Yeah, that's gross. That's sick.
Yeah. So I think it can be done. Um, I think it can be done. I know
Yeah,
that first 10 games is grueling though.
yeah, it's yeah. Obviously, the key is going to be to how we end because how we start it may be rough.
It could be rough. Could be rough. So
But
I would
the
like to,
pieces are there though.
yeah, for sure. I would like to say again, subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube. Look here, man. I'm gonna say this. We're trying to get these subscribers up. We're less than 200. We're trying to get to 200 subscribers. That's not asking a lot. We get a lot of downloads. I know you're watching. Subscribe, like, comment, share. Do all that on the YouTube. If you're listening, please subscribe to that Bleachers and Speakers. There's so much stuff on there. You got your basketball with the Pistons podcast. You got the Detroit Lions that me and Foster does with Bleachers and Speakers. You have Corner to Copa. The Tigers are heating up. Pay attention to the Corner to Copa on Bleachers and Speakers. That's Foster and Coach. Two dope individuals, man, and they're going to one day hopefully do Red Wings hockey on there. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Hey, you can't fault me for trying. Anyway, Foster, you got any last words before we get out of here?
No, man, I'm ready for preseason.
I think the first game is October 6th. I know that, and I think that is a preseason game. But first game October 6th. Would you indulge and participate in going to a preseason game?
Absolutely.
All right, we're gonna make it happen. Subscribe to Bleachers Speakers.